Welcome to the ANEW Body Insight Podcast, empowering and inspiring your journey to optimal health. Hosted by Dr. Supatra Tovar, clinical psychologist, registered dietitian, fitness expert, and author of Deprogrammed Diet Culture. Rethink your relationship with food, heal your mind, and live a diet-free life. And Chantal Donnelly, physical therapist and author of Settled, How to Find Calm in a Stress-Inducing World. We follow our guests' journey to optimal health, providing you with the keys to unlock your own wellness path. Tune in and evolve with us. Welcome back to the ANEW Body Insight Podcast. We are back for the second half of our interview with Midlife Whisperer, Dr. Ellen Albertson. Ellen gave us some background about her inspiration to become the Midlife Whisperer and shared her insights on how to rock your midlife. We cannot wait to learn more. Welcome back, Dr. Ellen.
Thank you. Good to be here again.
Yes, welcome back. Really excited to talk to you. Last time we spoke, we didn't quite get to a topic that Supatra and I were both really hoping to ask you about. So I'm going to ask you now.
Yes.
You are a Reiki master, and you also practice mindfulness and teach self-compassionate mindfulness. So how is it that you incorporate all of that to help women transform their midlife?
Well, Reiki is just divine universal life force energy. So Reiki refers both to the energy of Reiki itself, which again is this energy of everything. And I like to think of it kind of as the energy of love, this really high vibrational energy. And it's actually also a practice. It's a practice that can be used primarily is for self-care, especially when there's various levels of it, but it's for self-care and also to heal others and pets and plants. And I just, it really keeps you grounded and connected with that universal life force energy. I became a Reiki master pretty much around when I became a dietitian. So it's been part of my DNA for 3 decades. And I find that it's just this ever present resource that I can pull on to raise my vibration, to help other people, to send out energy for the planet or for anybody that's in distress. And the cool thing about Reiki is that the energy doesn't come from me, it comes through me. So whether I'm putting my hands on myself or my dog or my partner or a client, or even you can heal people at a distance. They're actually, I think about facilitating healing. What's happening is the recipient is pulling the Reiki energy in through me. So I'm like a giant straw or a funnel. And I love that because it doesn't drain me. It's like a lot of other energy work. It comes from the practitioner, so it drains you. When I do Reiki, I just feel, like Reiki high because it's coming through me. My clients are feeling better, or I'm feeling better if I'm doing it on myself. And it's just always present. And it's cool because it also works through intention. So when you lay your hands on someone and you've done what's called there's a blessing ceremony, which is these attunements that you receive at the various levels of Reiki. What ends up happening is my intention is for the highest good of the recipients, whether it's me or a client or someone I'm sending it at a distance. Their intention is to receive that healing. That's going to amplify the results. So I just think about it as like amplifying all of this good energy that Lord knows all of us really need and the planet really needs. So it's kind of Reiki in a nutshell, but it does no harm. It's simple to learn. Like a 5-year-old could get the attunements and do it. And sometimes kids, and I've taught it to children, they get it so quick. They're like, oh, I get it. I feel this. This makes total sense to me. I think as adults, so often we're like getting too intellectual about what's going on, and we just don't receive all that's possible for us.
Yes. Can you go into the attunement? What does that actually look like? That I really want to know.
Yeah. So there is it depends on who's teaching. So Reiki's a little bit like telephone tag. There was Yusui and he taught someone, he taught Takata, and then 21 masters came from Takata. She was a Japanese descent Hawaiian woman. And so it's a little bit like telephone tag, depending on what master you learn from and what your lineage is. It's always a little bit different. But there are attunements is essentially a blessing ceremony where what you do is the master gives you the attunement, so that what that does is it rearranges your chakras so that you're able to channel this energy. You already have this life force energy within you. It's almost like it's opening up a key, Like if you think about the, the lock and key with enzymes and things like that, protein reactions, it's kind of
Mhm.
opening up and allowing this Reiki energy to flow in through your heart and out your hands. So I do this very simple blessing ceremony. When I do it with Reiki 1, I do 2 different blessing ceremonies. I do one, let them work on themselves a little bit, and then I let them work on each other. And this light bulb goes off, and they're like, oh my gosh, this energy is really flowing. And then in level
Wow.
2, there's another attunement, and that allows you, and you also receive some mantras and some symbols, and that allows you to do Reiki at a distance. So I can literally send Reiki at a distance, and people feel it. I've sent it to clients, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I felt like you were at my bedside," which is always really, really
Wow.
cool. And then level 3, you get another attunement, and that puts you at the master level. So each level, it's like you're turning up this volume, and the more you practice it, just like I talked in the last podcast episode about self-compassion, the more you practice it and the more you think about it, like even as I'm talking about it, I can feel my hands like getting more warm and thinking about it. It really starts to also grow. And again, like self-compassion does no harm. Like how many things out there, modalities are so easy and do no harm. So it's something I think those of us who love Reiki, we have this vision like, what if everybody on the planet like did things like Reiki, like heart math, like self-compassion, like what a
There would be
different world we
world
would be.
peace.
Yeah, you just can't when you just can't hurt other people when and the planet when you're vibing with such positive energy.
I love
And I think
that.
I would just add too,
Well,
just as we're talking, we're all midlife women. Just the Dalai Lama said that the woman is going to save the Western woman is going to save the world, and I think he's really talking about midlife women, right? Because hopefully we've done our work. We're comfortable in our skin. We are passionate about making a better world for ourselves and our kids and our grandkids. We know our skills. We all have crazy talents and abilities, and we're starting to hone in on like, what can I do to make a difference? And Reiki is just a really easy way that you can touch people in your world and on your planet.
wow, you definitely radiate that energy and that vibration. And we are just lucky to be in that energy with you. Your personal life, I mean, I've seen it on Instagram. You are on the Champlain Islands of Vermont. You live half a year in Costa Rica. You have this beautiful doggy and this wonderful husband. How does your environment and your lifestyle influence your work and your personal well being?
Well, I'm fortunate to live in an environment which is so incredibly healthy. It's just I
Mhm.
live on 10 acres in Vermont. My man grows all our food. I mean, he's a don't let him know, but he's a gardenaholic. Uh, this year he put in a 30. I'm like, we live half of the year in Costa Rica. We don't need to grow as much food because I used to, freeze it and can it. Like we'd make, salsa and I'd make soups and put it all up for the winter. But he planted 32 blueberry bushes. This year he put in 40 broccoli plants and 10 fruit trees because he's like, I want an
Wow.
orchard. So it's just such a blast to like it's go in my backyard and just sit there and munch on kale. And now we have, Swiss chard and kale and bok choy and cucumbers and summer squash and blueberries. So it's so easy for me to be healthy and eat a whole food plant-based diet because we've got all this. I mean, I'm literally feeding the neighbors, feeding the food shelf. We have all this incredible food and we feed the birds and other animals. And it really feels so good. But I will say, in Costa Rica too, Costa Rica is a little problematic plant-wise because they spray really heavily. Because
Mm.
it's hot and there's so many bugs, and I didn't realize that about it, but I was fortunate enough to find a really good organic farmer who delivers right to our home. And of course, my man decided that we needed to have a little garden too. So
Of
I'm like,
course.
of course. So we have an avocado tree now, and we've got all these papayas, and he's going to put in, some herbs and spinach. So, but the interesting thing is that because I did the work initially, and my life if you told me when I was in my mid 50s that my life would look like this, I would say, sign me up. I remember watching that great movie with Julia Roberts, Eat, Pray, Love,
Yes.
Liz Gilbert, and that last scene where, Javier, who she's starting to have a relationship, but they haven't done it yet, right? He says, Liz, it is time. And he turns up this romantic music and he like dances her into the bedroom. And my marriage was like not working. Like I wanted to rock midlife, and my ex wanted to sit in a rocking chair and watch the History Channel, which is great, but that's not what I wanted. And the marriage was very, there's a lot of tension and conflict. But I was like, oh my God, like I want that. Like, where's my Javier? Where's that loving feeling? Where did all of that go? And I started during COVID. I had left my ex, and during COVID, I was doing this process called destination vibration, where I was visualizing myself dancing, which for me is really a metaphor for being high vibe, for feeling really good. I've been a dancer my whole life. You can see me dance on Instagram on occasion.
Yes.
But anyway, Kenny shows up in my life, this incredible man, our first date, like I was vibing with this whole joy and feelings because I'm like locked down during COVID. And then I got out and then I met Kenny and he shows up for our first date with 2 dozen roses, dragging this ginormous cooler filled with produce. He had,
Whoa.
head of
Dream come
cauliflower he had
true.
grown, and we made pesto and we made zoodles, and he brought squash blossoms, which we cooked up with some goat cheese. And it was like, oh my God. I remember driving up to his place, and I live on the, Champlain Islands, which is this just beautiful 10-acre estate. And the tune from Gone with the Wind is going through my head. And I'm like, universe, what the beep, right? But you're asking me the health and well-being. The thing is, if you do your work and you're really authentic and you love yourself and you're on the right vibrational track, you will attract the environment that's best for you. Like I never in a million years thought I would be happy out here. I thought, I live, my son went to camp, I'm a half a mile from where I live now. And I would come up to North Hero every summer and I'd be like, it's the sticks. There's nothing out here. But I'm just always amazed at how much I love it. It's just every day is just gorgeous. And then of course, Costa Rica is great. So to answer your question a long way, it's just the place that's really best for me vibrationally and best for my health and well-being. I don't have to work at being happy. All I have to do is just be myself and just enjoy my life and
It sounds
inspire
like
others to do the
too.
same.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Real quick. It sounds like you have all this access to the outdoors. And I think that that's probably a big part of how it raises your vibration. You're just forest bathing every day.
Pretty much, yeah. I literally live, I live between, I say surf and turf. So we've got the lake on the west side, seeing the sunsets, and then on the east side we have a dairy barn. So we've kind of lived both ways, and there's a ton of, deer are constantly. They're not running around my property so much because I have that border collie, but I see deer every day and rabbits, and somebody spotted a bobcat, and I've got minks living in the front. We leave all of our front area just out to nature. So we've got blackbirds and minks and all kinds of critters.
The thing that really resonates, not resonates, what's the right word, Chantal? The thing that really spoke to me when you were talking about that change in your life is that when Kenny came into your life, you said yes. I know so many people whose lives have changed, whether it's divorce or sudden death or career changes, whatever it is. Something happens and it looks to me and to the outside world like it's a really good change, and they don't take it that way. They're miserable in their new lives, and you really embraced it. And I think there's something to that. I think you have to be ready for accepting what the universe is sending you and really sort of embracing it. And you've done that.
Yeah, and that goes back to what we talked about on the first episode of the self-compassion piece of loving yourself. And I think part of it, we have there's a really great book called The Big Leap. We put a damper on our happiness because we don't feel like we deserve it. So every time something good is going to happen, we put the kibosh on it. We sabotage ourselves because we don't feel worthy. And I'm here to tell you, you are worthy just because you're a human being. Being worthy isn't about your accomplishments or how good you are at X, Y, and Z or how skinny you are. Being worthy is just because you are a divine being and you deserve love and worthiness and all the good things. But I love what you said too, because with Kenny, I said yes, but it's interesting. I was reading a book called Love in 90 Days, and I decided that this time I was going to pick differently because I did not have a good track record with men at all. It was like I would pick men. And this is a big piece of that midlife transformation. Is really changing your thinking. In Hollywood teaches us to pick our men by our libidos, right? If he is hot
Right.
and I feel turned on and he's turned on by me, well, he's the right one. I'm here to say the sexual thing is not the way, to go to pick someone. And I really like with Kenny, we just became such good friends. We actually didn't get intimate for a year and a half for a variety of reasons. We both had healing to do. And now that part of our life is just like the icing on the cake. But there's this basis of love and appreciation and friendship, and we just have so much fun and adore each other. But yes, I said yes. It was scary, but I knew, when you're saying yes to things, there's always, you can always change your mind, but like, what if you miss that opportunity, right? Right. If this opportunity is just here and we miss those opportunities because we don't feel worthy or we feel afraid or we feel like, oh my God, what if it's the wrong thing? We can always, change our minds and we can always like backpedal and, but what if it's the best thing? Like I did a affirmation the other day and like your motto is, what's the best thing that could happen?
I always say that to my clients because they always go to the worst case. And I say, okay, let's explore that. But what's the best case? And when they do that, you see them light up. You see them. I also ask them, do you think that that's possible? And when they say yes, I'm like, why can't we always go to the best case scenario? What would change in our lives if we chose the best case over the worst case scenario? Love that. And you're a living example of that.
Yeah, and also the more you do that too, the healthier you are and the happier your life is, and the more, and I think that again, the more we expand, the more we give other people permission to do the same. I think one of the cool things that's happening, we talked a little bit offline about, social media and Instagram and all the things, but women are supporting women, and there's a really cool thing
Mhm.
happening in the midlife space where everybody is just cheering each other on. And that's a
Yes.
beautiful thing that we, when each of us shines our light, where, you can be that flame, you can pass the torch to somebody else and you can shine a light on them, help them up when they're struggling. And I think that's a lot of, I think all of our work, right? We are all teaching what we've learned and teaching what we have to learn on a deeper level.
For
Mhm.
sure. Yeah. Now, speaking of teaching, you write for a lot of really great publications. I think Self Magazine, Better Homes and Gardens, Good Housekeeping, just to name a few. Can you talk about some of the themes that you're writing about that midlife women are really craving to hear more about and get educated on?
Yeah, well, these days, my the main places I'm writing for, I write for Crunchy Tales. So if you haven't checked out, it's crunchytales.com. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's a magazine specifically for women over 50. So I write about everything from menopause rage to a lot of like menopausal issues. What are the best foods for menopause? I just did a really fun piece on what your I love astrology, so I was like, what your sign tells you about your diet, just for fun. So I love writing sort of those kind of fun pieces. Then I do a lot of writing for IRE, which is a website that sells supplements and food products and all kinds of really cool things. And I write a lot about, again, supplements, foods that are really good for midlife, for menopausal women. Like right now, I'm writing a piece on bee pollen. Like, who
Mm.
knew all the things that bee pollen does? It was
Wow.
amazing. I was
What
just
does
like,
bee
wow.
pollen do?
Oh, well, bee pollen actually does everything from, it's a great antioxidant. So it's anti-inflammatory. So it helps with, cancer prevention, helps with, liver, hepatic issues, actually may help you with menopause. They found that it was helpful for women who had to be on estrogen blockers because of breast cancer and things like that. So
Mm.
really, really interesting. I mean, I think what's so interesting is that so many of us too are looking for natural ways to heal ourselves, who,
Mhm.
really, there is a place for pharmaceuticals. I have Hashimoto's disease, I have low thyroid, I take Synthroid, which is, I'm grateful for that. But then so many things are diet, lifestyle related, and there are so many supplements that in conjunction with a healthy diet can really make a difference. Like, if you're going through menopause, super important to be getting enough magnesium, really important to getting your omega-3. So I talk a lot about, supplementation around diet, lifestyle, mental health, the, diet, mental health relationships, and just a lot of the things that midlife women face, like work-life balance and dealing with, growing children and whatever my, followers need at the time.
Nice.
Yes, absolutely. Um, along those lines, you've also appeared on Extra, the Food Network, NBC World News. Tell us about these media appearances and how they influenced your work and your outreach.
Yeah, I think the media appearances, just make me understand how powerful the media is and how every opportunity is an opportunity to have more of an influence and to make a shift in the world. I'm also a Leo rising, so I just love being in front of a camera. It's just really, really fun. And the cool thing about it too is that, media appearances, it's a snowball effect. So the more I appear, the more, I can have an influence on other people and help people live happier and healthier lives. And then media outlets, the other media outlets, and you get more opportunities. So it's just fun. It's interesting because I've always been interested in media. My nutrition, my first degree, I got a master's in nutrition communication. So that was back in the 90s when the TV Food Network was forming. And there were a lot of dietitians who were interested in the media and talking about food and nutrition and health. And then I went on to do media for a number of years with my ex-husband. We were the cooking couple in the 90s. And so we did we had a nationally syndicated radio show even before the internet. And then my PhD is actually in psychology with an emphasis on media. So it's media psychology. So I think all of this work in the media has really helped me to understand kind of on a macro level how powerful the media is. And, like with body image, looking and seeing, my gosh, how much we get all of these subconscious um, media messages that influence our body image, how we feel about as women. And how do I utilize the media to change that? And how do I, use media to have a bigger reach to really change the lives of individual women and also change the conversation? I think a lot of us, like today, I posted about like who says you can't wear a bikini, at 50? Like where, and it was even like I was reading the New York Times, is it okay? Like the ethicist, is it okay to wear a bikini after 50? And I'm like, why are we even having this conversation? Like, why aren't we talking about health and well-being and happiness? Why do we have these conversations where you're so friggin', focused on appearance? So I want to look cute. Like we all want to look cute. There's nothing wrong with that. But we focus so much attention on appearance. I think the media just really emphasizes that and preys on women. Like, how often do you guys see BS crap that people are wasting their money on to,
Yes.
combat the weight and the menopause? And what was this thing? And I saw this one the other day on gluteal. I don't remember something gluteal, something with your ligaments in your muscles in your butt, which happen, with midlife. Menopause can actually amplify a lot of these things. But as a physical
To
therapist,
like lift up the ligaments? Oh
well,
no.
that it is the atrophy, but like because what women need to do is eat the whole food plant-based diet and like do some exercises for your glutes, do some squats and do some lunges.
Well, you have a
So
lot of people trying to sell stuff, and they certainly can sell a lot if they make women, especially in their midlife, feel insecure, inadequate, not good enough. That's what we see. And I love that you use the media for good to help expand people's awareness, to help them become more self compassionate. And I think if we can counter the messaging that we're seeing and help people be more discerning about where they're getting their information or who they're following on social media, we can change their mindset. We can change how they feel about themselves. We can help them become more self-compassionate. That's what you're doing in the media, and that's beautiful.
oh, thank you. And I think the thing is too that as we say, I want to be seen and heard, the media is catching up a little bit. You're seeing more older women who are, doing the modeling because we want midlife women to sell us stuff. I don't want some 20 something to sell me things. I don't want to, I don't watch exercise videos, but I know a lot of women they don't want to see a 20 something showing them what to do. They want to see a 40, 50, 60-year-old. And I know I love one thing, another tip I would give midlife women too is have friends of all ages. Like I love my 30-year-old friends. Like I got kids and I've got friends with their friends and I've got an 85-year-old woman who's my adopted aunt across the street. And we really need to combat this ageism. I think it's an ism that we don't talk enough about. And we internalize the ageism and we actually age better when we have positive feelings about aging and we surround ourselves with role models. I just think there's so many women out there who are rocking their, and men too, rocking their 70s and 80s. I mean, my parents are 92 and almost 94, and they're amazing role models. Having this,
Wow.
mentality that we get this whole second adulthood that we're gifted with, and we can make it amazing.
Preach,
Yes.
Dr. Ellen, preach.
Mm-hmm.
Any good future projects that we can look forward to from you?
Well, I'm kind of starting to think about some course creation. I don't know, with all my education, I haven't taken a lot of courses in how to create courses, but I'm feeling like, um, I want to really help some people to really shift the barometer, and sort of the one to the many model. So I think that I kind of have a book in the back of my mind. I have this book called Second Saturn Return. So we go through Saturn takes 28 and a half years to go around the sun. So we go through our first one kind of 28 to 30, and then we go through another one like 58 to 60. And that was a very pivotal point in my life. So I'm kind of thinking about a book project, but also, what, I just want to have fun.
Good
Oh,
idea.
well, you
As-
are just having fun. I
Just what-
mean, and I think you look at work as fun as well.
I try to. There's a little part of me that still wakes up in the morning, and I'll be a true confession that I had clinical depression. So in my 40s, when I was going through menopause and midlife and a difficult marriage and 2 kids, I was diagnosed with clinical depression. So I think I have a little bit of the propensity. So I have to work on my mental health every single day and just say, yes, I get to do this. I really do. I do this because I love it and I want to inspire people. And it's a spiral. The more I inspire people and help people, the better I feel, the better they feel, the more opportunities happen. And I think going back to your initial point, Chantal, is that, we get to decide what our perspective on life is going to be and decide, what, am I going to look at this? Is this two ways to look at life? Is, everything is a miracle and everything is groovy, or everything is not? And the world's a tough place right now. And I think that rather than focusing on the problems, we need to focus on how do I raise my vibe, my energy, and how do I make a difference? And what's my role in making a difference in the world?
Oh, you certainly are making a difference in this world. And we're so lucky to know you and to know you're out there doing this work. I can't even believe it, but our time is up, which is nuts because we have 80 million more questions for you. And we really hope you come back on this show again so we can really pick your brain. But for now, we are definitely out of time.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And thank you all for tuning in to A New Body Insight. We hope that you will join us for our next exciting episode and tune in and evolve with us.
Thanks for tuning into the A New Body Insight podcast. Please remember, the content shared on this podcast is for entertainment purposes only and does not constitute medical advice. You can find us anywhere podcasts are streaming, on YouTube at my.anew.insight and at anew-insight.com under the A New Body Insight podcast tab. Follow us on our socials at my.anew.insight on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more updates. Tune in next time and evolve with us.